Hey everyone, before we dive into this wild story, please hit that subscribe button to join our storytelling community. Your support keeps these tales coming. I stepped into the mansion, my sneakers squeaking on the marble floor, feeling like an intruder in a palace of gold. The rich man, Mr. Caldwell, stood at the top of the grand staircase, his eyes narrowing as he sized me up. "You won't last a week," he said, his voice cold, dripping with disdain. I was just the new nanny, hired to care for his 6-year-old twins, Lily and Lucas. My agency warned me he was tough, but I needed the job. Bills don't pay themselves. The house was a maze of chandeliers, velvet curtains, and portraits of stern ancestors. I clutched my worn backpack, my only shield against this intimidating world. The twins were nowhere in sight, but I heard giggles echoing from somewhere upstairs. Mr. Caldwell's warning hung in the air, a challenge I wasn't sure I could meet. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. This wasn't just a job, it was a test. All I could think was, I have to prove him wrong. The first day was chaos. Lily and Lucas were whirlwinds, spilling juice, scattering toys, and ignoring my pleas. They'd been through 5 nannies in a year, each one fleeing this gilded cage. I found them hiding under a dining table, plotting to test my limits with pranks. Lucas smeared paint on my jeans, and Lily accidentally dropped a vase. I kept my cool, remembering my own childhood, full of mischief and no rules. By lunch, they were staring, surprised I hadn't yelled or quit. I made them PB&J sandwiches, cutting the crusts off just how they liked. Slowly, they started talking, about school, their favorite cartoons, their absent mom. Mr. Caldwell watched from his study, his frown deepening. I felt his eyes like lasers, waiting for me to crack. That night, I tucked the twins into bed, exhausted but determined. Their small hands grabbed mine, a flicker of trust sparking. By day 3, the twins were warming up, but Mr. Caldwell's icy demeanor never thawed. He'd bark orders, criticize my every move, from how I tied Lily's shoes to the stories I read. "You're not disciplined enough," he'd snap, pacing his office like a caged lion. I learned he was a tech mogul, widowed, with no time for his kids. The twins craved his attention, but he buried himself in work instead. I caught Lily drawing a picture of her dad, her crayons heavy with longing. I started small traditions, hot cocoa before bed, silly songs in the morning. The twins giggled more, their wariness fading. I found notes they'd written. "We like you, don't leave." Mr. Caldwell noticed the change but dismissed it as temporary. I wasn't just fighting for my job now, I was fighting for them. Each night, their bedtime hugs grew tighter. The twins' pranks didn't stop, but they became playful, not malicious, a sign they were testing my staying power. One morning, Lucas hid my phone in a cereal box, grinning when I found it. Lily braided my hair with glittery ribbons, calling me their fairy nanny. I laughed, embracing their chaos, but Mr. Caldwell wasn't amused. He cornered me in the kitchen, saying, "You're indulging them too much." I stood my ground, explaining kids need love, not just rules. His eyes flickered, anger, maybe, or something softer. That night, I overheard him on a call, stressed about a failing deal. I realized he wasn't cruel, just broken, pouring his grief into control. The twins sensed it too, their bedtime stories filled with heroes saving lonely kings. I started leaving notes for Mr. Caldwell, updates on his kids' tiny victories. He never responded, but I kept going. A week passed, and I was still there, defying Mr. Caldwell's prediction with every sunrise. The twins were my allies now, sneaking me cookies when I was on duty. We built a blanket fort in their room, a secret kingdom where they shared their dreams. Lily wanted to be an astronaut, Lucas, a chef. I listened, really listened, and they blossomed under the attention. Mr. Caldwell caught us in the fort, his face unreadable. "This is a mess," he muttered, but he didn't order it down. I saw him linger, watching his kids laugh like he hadn't seen in years. I invited him to join, but he walked away, shoulders stiff. That night, the twins begged me to stay forever, their voices small but fierce. I promised I'd try, my heart aching for them. Mr. Caldwell's deadline had passed, but the real challenge was just beginning. The second week brought a shift. Mr. Caldwell started asking about the twins' day, hesitant, like he was learning how. I shared stories of Lily's science experiments and Lucas's pancake disasters, watching his guarded walls crack. He even joined us for dinner once, awkward but present. The twins lit up, talking over each other to impress him. I saw the man beneath the mogul, haunted by loss but trying. I kept up our routines, story time, crafts, even dance parties in the living room. The house felt less like a museum, more like a home. But Mr. Caldwell's doubts lingered. He'd catch my eye, as if waiting for me to fail. I doubled down, teaching the twins to write letters to their mom, a way to process their grief. Their bedtime prayers included me now, a quiet vow that shook me. I wasn't just a nanny anymore. I was family. One night, Lucas had a nightmare, crying for his mom, and I held him until he fell back asleep. Lily joined us, curling up against me, her tiny hand clutching mine. I sang a lullaby my mom used to sing, soft and steady, until they calmed. Mr. Caldwell stood in the doorway, watching, his face a mix of pain and wonder. He didn't speak, but the next day, he thanked me, gruffly, almost embarrassed. It was a small victory, but it felt huge. The twins started asking me to stay past bedtime, to tell just one more story. I obliged, weaving tales of brave kids and kind dragons. Mr. Caldwell's late-night pacing slowed. He was listening too. I realized he was as lost as his kids, trapped in his own grief. My job was no longer just about surviving, it was about healing them all. By week 3, the twins were my shadow, following me everywhere, their trust unshakable. We planted a small garden in the backyard, their hands dirty and smiles wide. Mr. Caldwell watched from his office window, his expression softer than before. He started joining us more, helping Lucas with a puzzle, reading to Lily. It was clumsy, but it was progress. I caught him smiling once, a rare, unguarded moment. The twins noticed too, their bedtime wishes now including, "Daddy stays happy." I kept pushing, organizing family game nights, hoping to bridge the gap. Mr. Caldwell's cold warnings felt like a distant memory, but I wasn't naive. He could still fire me if I slipped. Every night, the twins' pleas to stay forever grew louder. I wanted to, but I knew this wasn't my home. One evening, Mr. Caldwell called me into his study, his tone serious but not harsh. He admitted he'd been wrong about me, his voice low, almost apologetic. He said the twins were happier than they'd been since their mom died. I nodded, unsure how to respond to this softer side of him. He asked about my plans, if I'd stay long-term. I told him I loved the twins but needed stability, not just a job. He promised to think it over, his eyes searching mine for something I couldn't name. That night, the twins made me a card, covered in glitter and hearts, saying, "You're our favorite forever." I cried, hiding my tears from them. Mr. Caldwell's change of heart was real, but I wondered if it was enough. The mansion was warmer, but it wasn't mine. Still, I wasn't ready to leave. The twins' bedtime routine became sacred. Stories, songs, and their tiny arms around me, begging me to stay. Mr. Caldwell started joining us, sitting quietly as I read, his presence a silent truce. One night, he read a chapter himself, his voice shaky but warm. The twins cheered, and I saw tears in his eyes. He was trying, really trying, to be the dad they needed. I felt a strange pride, like I'd helped spark this change. But I also felt the weight of their need, the fear of letting them down. Mr. Caldwell's warning from day one echoed faintly, but now it felt like a dare I'd already won. The twins' love was my armor, their trust my reward. As I tucked them in, they whispered, "Forever, please." I smiled, promising nothing, but hoping for everything. The days blurred into a rhythm of laughter, messes, and small victories, the mansion alive with new energy. Lily and Lucas started calling me Auntie, a nickname that made my heart swell and ache. Mr. Caldwell noticed, his stern facade crumbling more each day. He began leaving work early, joining us for picnics or movie nights. The twins would climb into his lap, giggling as he pretended to be a monster. I watched, amazed at how far we'd come since his cold warning. But doubts crept in. Could I stay in this role forever, just a nanny? I loved the twins, but I had dreams too, ones that didn't fit this gilded cage. At bedtime, their pleas grew desperate, sensing my hesitation. I told them stories of brave explorers, hoping to inspire courage. Mr. Caldwell caught my eye, his gaze heavy with unspoken questions. I wondered if he saw me as more than just the help now. One afternoon, Lily fell off a swing, scraping her knee, and I was there, bandaging it with care. She clung to me, sobbing, while Lucas hovered, worried. Mr. Caldwell rushed out, his face pale, but I calmed them all, my voice steady. He thanked me again, this time with a warmth that felt personal. Later, he asked me to join him for coffee, a first in this formal house. We talked, not about the twins, but about me, my life, my hopes. He listened, really listened, and I saw the man behind the mogul, vulnerable and real. The twins interrupted, dragging us into a game of tag. Their laughter filled the air, and for a moment, we were a team. Bedtime that night was bittersweet. Their stay forever felt heavier. I wasn't sure where I belonged, but leaving seemed impossible. Mr. Caldwell started sharing stories of his late wife, small glimpses into his pain and the twins' loss. It was during a quiet evening, the kids asleep, and we sat in the dim library. He spoke of her laugh, how it filled this house, now so silent. I shared a bit about my own struggles, growing up poor, fighting for every chance. He looked at me differently, like he saw me, not just the nanny. The twins' love had bridged us, but something else was growing. I pushed it aside, focusing on my job, but it lingered. At bedtime, Lily asked if I'd be their new mom, her words innocent but piercing. I deflected with a story, my heart racing. Mr. Caldwell overheard, his silence loud. I wondered if he was thinking it too, or if I was imagining things. The twin school had a family day, and Mr. Caldwell asked me to come along, surprising me. We cheered as Lily won a spelling bee and Lucas scored in soccer, a makeshift family in the crowd. Parents whispered, assuming I was the new Mrs. Caldwell, and I blushed, flustered. He didn't correct them, just smiled faintly. The twins beamed, holding both our hands, and I felt a pang of belonging. Back home, we celebrated with ice cream, the kitchen messy and alive. Mr. Caldwell laughed, a real, deep laugh, and I realized how rare it was. At bedtime, the twins begged me to stay, their voices a chorus of need. I looked at Mr. Caldwell, wondering what he wanted. He didn't say, but his eyes held a quiet plea. This wasn't just about a job anymore. One night, a storm hit, thunder shaking the mansion, and the twins ran to my room, terrified. I held them close, singing through the crashes, their small bodies trembling. Mr. Caldwell joined us, sitting on the floor, his tie undone, looking like a dad, not a mogul. We told ghost stories by flashlight, the twins giggling through their fear. He thanked me later, his voice soft, saying, "You're good for them, for us." That "us" stuck with me, a word heavier than it seemed. The twins fell asleep between us, their trust absolute. I realized I was part of their world now, whether I planned it or not. But my future was a question mark, and Mr. Caldwell's gaze held answers I wasn't ready for. Bedtime felt like a crossroads, their pleas echoing in my heart. The next day, Mr. Caldwell gave me a day off, insisting I deserved it, but I stayed anyway. The twins dragged me to the attic, showing me old photos of their mom, their eyes bright with memories. I listened, letting them grieve, my own eyes stinging. Mr. Caldwell found us, joining in, his voice cracking as he shared a story. It was the most open he'd been, and I saw the weight he carried. We spent the day sorting memories, the twins laughing and crying. I felt like an anchor, holding them steady. That night, they begged me to stay forever, their words a ritual now. Mr. Caldwell watched, his silence different, thoughtful, not cold. I wondered if he was rethinking his life too. The mansion felt like home, but I wasn't sure it could be mine. A month in, the twins were thriving, their smiles brighter, their confidence growing. Mr. Caldwell was different too, less distant, more present, even playful. He started cooking with us, burning pancakes but laughing it off. The twins adored it, and I saw a family healing. But his company was struggling, and late-night calls pulled him away again. I stepped up, keeping the twins' world steady, but I felt the strain. At bedtime, they clung to me, sensing the tension. I told stories of heroes who faced storms, hoping to inspire them. Mr. Caldwell caught me after, saying, "I don't know how we'd do this without you." It was honest, raw, and it shook me. I wanted to stay, but I needed more than gratitude. There forever was a dream I wasn't sure I could live. One morning, Lily gave me a drawing, a family, with me in it, holding hands with her, Lucas, and Mr. Caldwell. It broke me, the innocence of her hope, the weight of what it meant. I hung it on the fridge, my hands trembling. Mr. Caldwell saw it, his eyes lingering, but he didn't speak. That day, he took the twins to the park, inviting me along, and we felt like a unit, natural and easy. Strangers smiled, assuming we were a family, and I didn't hate it. At bedtime, the twins' pleas were softer, like they sensed a shift. I wondered if I could stay, not as a nanny, but something more. Mr. Caldwell's small gestures, coffee, talks, shared glances, felt like steps toward something. But I was scared to hope, scared to lose this fragile joy. Mr. Caldwell started asking my opinions, on the twins, his business, even his life. It was strange, being seen as more than staff, my voice mattering. We talked late one night, the twins asleep, about dreams we'd buried. He admitted he'd forgotten how to live, not just work. I shared my fear of being stuck, of losing myself in this role. He listened, his hand brushing mine, a moment that lingered. The twins woke, calling for me, and we both went, a team. Their bedtime hugs felt like a promise, their "stay forever" a chant. I looked at Mr. Caldwell, wondering if he heard it the same way. The mansion was no longer cold, but my place in it was unclear. I wanted to stay, but on my terms. The twins' birthday was coming, and I planned a party, determined to make it special, a memory they'd keep. Mr. Caldwell helped, picking streamers, even baking a lopsided cake. We laughed, flour on our faces, the twins cheering us on. The day was perfect, games, gifts, and a backyard treasure hunt. Mr. Caldwell watched his kids, his eyes soft, and thanked me, his voice thick. That night, the twins fell asleep in my arms, whispering, "You're the best." I felt it, the love, the belonging, but also the weight. Mr. Caldwell sat with me after, quiet, then said, "I want you to stay, not just for them." My heart stopped. It was the closest he'd come to saying it. Bedtime felt like a vow, but I needed clarity. I wasn't just a nanny anymore, but what was I? The party's glow lingered, but reality crept back. Mr. Caldwell's work pulled him away, stress etching his face. I kept the twins' world bright, with crafts and stories, but I felt the strain of being their everything. One night, Lucas asked why his dad was always busy, his voice small. I didn't have answers, just hugs, and it wasn't enough. Mr. Caldwell overheard, his face falling, and he promised to do better. He started cutting meetings, spending evenings with us, trying. The twins noticed, their bedtime smiles wider. But I was tired, carrying the emotional load, my own dreams on hold. Their stay forever was a tether, beautiful but heavy. Mr. Caldwell's late-night talks grew deeper, hinting at more, but I needed words, not hints. The mansion was home, but I needed to know my place. One day, Lily got sick, a fever keeping her in bed, and I stayed by her side, reading, soothing. Lucas hovered, worried, and I kept them both calm, my heart full. Mr. Caldwell canceled a trip, sitting with us, his hand on Lily's forehead. We were a team, moving in sync, and it felt right. He thanked me, his voice breaking, saying I was their anchor. I saw love in his eyes, not just for the twins, but maybe for me. That night, their bedtime pleas were softer, trusting I'd stay. I wanted to, but I needed more than gratitude, more than a role. Mr. Caldwell's walls were down, but his words stopped short. I lay awake, wondering if I could build a life here. The twins' love was certain, but his was a question. The twins started school projects, and I helped, gluing stars, researching planets, their excitement infectious. Mr. Caldwell joined us, clumsy but eager, learning alongside his kids. We laughed, the table a mess of glitter and books, and I saw a family forming. He started calling me by my first name, not Miss, a small but seismic shift. At bedtime, the twins begged me to stay, their voices a ritual I cherished. Mr. Caldwell lingered, watching, his eyes saying what his words didn't. I felt torn, loving them, loving this, but needing more. I wasn't just a nanny, I was part of their world, maybe their future. But I needed him to say it, to make it real. The mansion was home, but only if I belonged. One night, Mr. Caldwell asked me to stay after bedtime, his voice nervous, unlike him. We sat in the library, fire crackling, and he spoke of his fears, failing his kids, losing them like he lost his wife. I listened, sharing my own fears of losing myself in this role. He took my hand, saying, "You're not just a nanny, you're family." My heart raced. It was the closest he'd come to truth. The twins' pleas echoed in my mind, their love my anchor. But I needed more, a life, not just a job. He promised to figure it out, his eyes pleading. I nodded, hope and fear mixing. Bedtime felt different, like a door opening. I wasn't sure what was next, but I wanted to find out. The twin school play was a triumph, Lily a shining star, Lucas a brave tree, and we cheered, a unit. Mr. Caldwell held my hand in the crowd, a quiet claim, and I didn't pull away. Back home, we celebrated, the twins buzzing with pride. He thanked me, his voice soft, saying I'd changed their lives. I felt it too, the shift, the possibility of more. At bedtime, their Stay Forever was a song, and I sang along, my heart full. Mr. Caldwell watched, his smile real, and I wondered if this could be my future. The mansion wasn't cold anymore. It was warm, alive. But I needed him to say it, to make it mine. I was ready to fight for this, for them, for us. Days passed, and Mr. Caldwell grew bolder, small gestures turning into moments, a touch, a shared laugh. We planned a family trip, the twins thrilled, and I felt like I belonged, not just as help. He started talking about the future, asking what I wanted, listening like it mattered. I told him I loved the twins, loved this, but needed a life, not just a role. He nodded, promising changes, his eyes serious. At bedtime, the twins' pleas were softer, like they knew something was shifting. I felt it too, a chance at more, at family. The mansion was home, but I needed his words to make it real. I wasn't just defying his warning now, I was building something new. Their love was my strength, and I wasn't letting go. Months later, we're a family, not perfect, but real, the mansion alive with love and chaos. The twins still beg me to stay at bedtime, but now it's a game, their smiles sure. Mr. Caldwell, James now, holds my hand, his warning a distant memory. I'm not just a nanny, I'm theirs, and they're mine. We're building a life, one story, one hug at a time. The twins' love, his love, anchors me. I proved him wrong, not just for a week, but forever. Bedtime is our ritual, a reminder of how far we've come. I'm home, and I'm staying. The mansion is ours, and so is our future. I wouldn't trade it for anything. Thanks for joining me on this journey. If you loved this story, please subscribe to the channel for more heartfelt tales like this one.